So I keep hearing all these realtors talk about how Franklin, it's like the last stronghold. It's really booming out there, and they'll punt to something like the population, and I'm like, okay, well, if you're gonna say that, then maybe we need to go back to the drawing board here because there's no evidence that the population is really booming now because population growth is, according to the latest numbers, and what we're looking at here is the annual estimates of the population for the city of Franklin from 2000 to 2024. Well, I mean, year over year, as of 2024, it's the lowest it's been, right? And of course, you're starting to see, right? I mean, a place like Franklin has a population of just under 90,000 people. It's starting to kind of crest. And I don't even know why people keep talking about that as if it's real, all of this growth. Is it possible that you guys are just simply confusing construction with growth? That's what's happened. That and all this household growth, which that even is slowing too, as is uh, net migration too. So look, there's a person on YouTube who's got a pretty decent following, and I have politely tried to correct them on this issue, not only in a place like Franklin, but all over when it comes to understanding maybe the population. And this is somebody who should know better. Ethan, I don't know why this is something that you think is up for debate because it's just not, right? There are estimates out there, and it either is or it isn't, say, growing. Okay. So, and I, this is so dumb because, okay, if you're going to show a chart of the population as just a line, how much information is that going to actually tell you? I mean, don't you need to know what rolls up into, say, the population, how that's changed over time? Maybe there's more old people in the area. You ever think about that? Maybe that could be causing population growth to slow. Well, let's go look at this other visual and see if we can, figure out exactly what's going on in a place like the city of Franklin. This is much more meaningful than just a line on a chart. Okay, and when you combine this with something like the components of population change too, like natural change, net migration, all of that, birth rates, you're just going to see why that's just patently false for somebody to say that the city of Franklin is booming. Maybe it was at one point, it's not anymore. Okay, so there's a lot of information on this visual, right? Not only is there household information, because this is just how I have it modeled. I like to look at both of them together, but also there is obviously population data by both age and origin, and some of this data goes all the way back to 1970. It's from the decennial census, and then other data on here is annual, and it actually comes from the American Community Survey. And what I'm showing here is the 5 year annual estimate of that data. So remember, like that those are period estimates. So 5 year period for 2023 is actually a sample window of 60 months from 2019 to 2023. That's a long-winded way of saying, like, understand how to interpret the data. This is not like necessarily a true time series. The advantage is it's going to be more accurate than the 1 year ACS annual estimate. Uh, okay, probably more than you wanted to know. But look, let me just start with this population by age chart down here, the decades cut of that goes from 1970 to 2020. I'll explain the legend and the coloring very quickly. I threw it all just into three big buckets. Under 25 is blue. That blue shading, 25 to 54, that's your prime working age. Lines up with government statistics, obviously. That's that green shading. And then the gray shading, that's your kind of that 55 plus, obviously, but that's your sort of silver wave, silver tsunami. And if you show this as a share chart, what you basically observe is that since, we'll call it, if we're just looking at decades, since 2000, old farts are just grabbing more of the share of the population. Right? I mean, it's been historically a fairly young area, but now that's changing dramatically. And even if you were to, by the way, I would hope the darker respective shading, right, that just indicates older age. It's a progression, right? But even if you look at that same information, right, these are these 5 year ACS annual estimates, and I'm just showing all of them. Same setup as a share. What's happened? Gray is grabbing more share. This is through 2023. That's the most recent cut of the data that we have. But if you were to like look at Williamson County, right, you know, by age in terms of the population, which that is available for through 2024. I mean, it's basically right there at the national average, where that's what the dotted line represents. Where now around 30% of the population is now over the age of 55. And this, I keep trying to reiterate this point over and over again, is that this is an everywhere problem. It's an everywhere trend, really, that you see across, whether it's the MSA, the state, the country, developed countries, right? We're just getting older. What happens under those circumstances is you basically, the more old people that account for the share of your population, over time, that essentially chokes off the ability of these younger cohorts to grow and therefore drive organic population growth, which all of these things line up with the fact that we have declining birth rates. Now, you can even look at something like the population by origin and race, which is, here's the annual cut of that shown as a share chart. And then over here, the decades, it only goes back to 1980 cut this way. Where, look, I mean, I just, rather than break out Hispanic or Latino origin by race, I just left everything consolidated and I broke out everything else that is not Hispanic or Latino origin by race. Essentially, right, what you're seeing is more folks of Hispanic or Latino origin, or Asian, Pacific Islanders. It's really mainly Asian if you cut it a little bit further, that are moving into and accounting really for the share of the population. So, does that make more sense as to why Franklin is not going to just experience some insane amount of like population growth moving forward? There's a perfectly good reason why it's not growing. It's getting older. So, again, I don't know how many times I need to say this, Ethan, but you're just wrong. And I'm this is not engagement bait. If you're interested in actually reporting this information accurately, these are the numbers. There's nothing to debate. It is what it is.